Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Brother Sid of the Commandment Keepers Church. We have a detailed broadcast for our brothers and sisters internationally. The title of today's broadcast will be Reclaim the Rainbow. Reclaim the Rainbow, brothers and sisters. Today, we will explore the undisclosed past of the LGBT community. We'll delve into the origins of the rainbow symbol and its significance to the alphabet mafia. Okay, why? Each year, the acceptance of alternative lifestyles increases. And today we seek to explore why, utilizing the Bible. Okay, today we will refer to the Bible to understand the reason behind Satan's attraction to the Rainbow Coalition. What is Satan's attraction to the alphabet mafia? Why does he continue to promote alternative lifestyles to young children? We're going to discuss it today. Why? Today we delve into the dark past of the Rainbow Mafia as countless individuals have unknowingly thrown their support behind this nefarious campaign. Okay, the Rainbow Coalition has been able to cloak its true agenda behind a facade of diversity and inclusivity. Beneath the alphabet mafia's colorful exterior lines, a web of deceit and corruption must be exposed, brothers and sisters. Okay, there is a battle over the curriculum within the United States education system. Okay, parents must be aware that there is a homosexual agenda being promoted in all state-sponsored schools.
Now to history being made in New Jersey.
Starting this month, a dozen Garden State schools will be the first in the country to implement new LGBTQ-focused curriculum for every subject. CBS 2's Christina Fan explains how they're getting started.
Inside this classroom, school administrators from around the state became students for a day, learning all about the state's new LGBTQ inclusive curriculum.
This is about learning what works well and what doesn't work.
12 schools are piloting the new program, the first wave under state law that requires middle and high school students learn about the social, political, and economic contributions of all individuals.
LGBTQ history is American history.
Ashley Chiopano and her team developed 45 new teachable lessons for the classroom.
If they have a lesson they've used in their classrooms and they can integrate LGBTQ topics in that lesson, that's what we want them to do, right? We don't want to reinvent the wheel.
For example, when presenting a math problem where two people have to buy 6 apples plus 2 oranges, saying instead of a mom and a dad go into a store, saying 2 dads or 2 moms. Superintendents coming from across the state to learn, including Highland Park School.
Supporting our kids who are coming out is not about just supporting kids. It's about giving everybody the same rights.
Parents in his district looking forward to the change.
It should have been like this before, but I'm just very happy that they finally are doing it now.
I think we have to teach that everybody's equal in this world and we are accepting of different lifestyles.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Genesis chapter 9. Okay, we're going to go back into history. Let's go to Genesis chapter 9, verse 11 through 13. Why? Why? The title of today's broadcast, Reclaim the Rainbow. Brothers and sisters, you would be shocked at how many people are unfamiliar with the history, the biblical history of the rainbow. A lot of people have no clue where that symbol came from and what it originally represented. Okay, we're going into Genesis chapter 9, verse 11 through 13. Why? We need, brothers and sisters, to have the history on why the alphabet mafia selected the symbol, right? We're at Genesis 9 and 11, and it reads, "And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth." Verse 12 reads, "And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. Verse 13 reads, I do set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be a token of a covenant between me and the earth. Verse 13 reads, I do set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be a token of a covenant between me and the earth. Brothers and sisters, take a look at that. This is the first time we see rainbow historically. Okay, there is no other religious record that has a more historical perspective on where the rainbow came from. What's the history concerning it? Okay, we have to put it out there. Why? A lot of individuals are unfamiliar with the history of the rainbow. So we had to refer to the Bible to uncover its origins. Okay, according to the Bible, the rainbow first appeared after the Great Flood that lasted 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, the Lord, during the time of Noah, flooded the earth. And the sign, the symbol that he would show mercy and never bring that form of judgment on the earth again, it was the rainbow. Okay, let's examine that. Why? After passing judgment on the earth due to sin, God gifted humanity with a magnificent rainbow as a symbol of his wrath and mercy. Right? The rainbow was a sign of God's wrath. Okay, why? He brought wrath on the earth. And then when his wrath subsided, his mercy was shown through the rainbow. So according to the passage, the vibrant colors of the rainbow serve as a reminder of God's grace and mercy despite his wrath. Despite his wrath. Okay, the use of the rainbow symbol by individuals to represent a homosexual lifestyle demonstrates what? It demonstrates the campaign's intention to ridicule God. They have taken a symbol that was a sign of God's wrath, and they've used that to and made it of great significance within their organization. Okay, the utilization of the rainbow symbol by the alphabet mafia highlights a deliberate attempt to ridicule and discredit God. Do you think they didn't know the biblical history concerning the rainbow? Wake up, brothers and sisters. Here we discover that following God's judgment on earth for its wickedness, he placed a rainbow in the sky as a symbol of not just his anger, but most importantly, his mercy. Right? Take a look at that. Genesis chapter 9 and 11 says what? 11 through 13 tells us that the rainbow was a sign between mankind and God of his wrath, of his judgment, of his mercy. Why? You can't have mercy without wrath. See that? So Genesis is the account of the flood, which is unmatched by any other historical documentation in its depiction of this event. Okay, and guess what? The Rainbow Mafia has sought to ridicule this account because of it. Okay, for the Alphabet Mafia to adopt a symbol ordained by God, despite the Bible's disapproval for their lifestyle, indicates a profound disrespect towards God.
The rainbow flag has been used as a symbol for gay pride for many years, but where did these famous 6 stripes come from? Well, the flag's range of bright colours are used by some people as a symbol to celebrate people's differences and to say that everyone should feel included no matter who they love or how they feel about themselves. It first became a symbol for the LGBT community, that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender community, back in 1978, when an artist in San Francisco in America called Gilbert Baker made a design with 8 stripes to be used on Gay Freedom Day. The flag's use spread across America from San Francisco, and by the 1990s it was known as a symbol for people trying to get equal rights for those in the LGBT community. It did originally have 8 stripes, but now it has 6. But what do all the colours mean? Well, the red stripe represents life, orange, healing, yellow, sunlight, green, nature, blue, art, and violet, the human spirit. Graham Bartram, an expert from the Flag Institute, says the reason the rainbow flag has caught on so well is its simplicity, which allows it to be so inclusive.
Government institutions have been endorsing evil behavior right in front of us because we lack the understanding of biblical history. Okay, government institutions have been encouraging evil behavior without resistance due to our lack of biblical understanding. Okay, they've been able to take this symbol from the Bible and to turn it into a symbol of homosexuality. Why? Because most people are unfamiliar with Genesis chapter 9. Okay, homosexual acts are a form of occult practice passed down by fallen angels. Okay, and we have to put it out there. Why? In Greek mythology, the Titans and gods were considered fallen angels in the Bible. Okay, and this is where you get homosexuality from. A lot of people are unfamiliar of what was going on the earth when the earth was flooded by the Lord. Right? A lot of people are unfamiliar what exactly was transpiring. What is the Christian church, what is the Catholic Church hidden about what they know, about the events, about the occurrences that transpired during the time of Noah? Okay, let's go to Genesis chapter 6. Why? Genesis 6 gives us the true reason why God flooded the earth. Okay, we're here in Genesis chapter 6, 1 through 4. Why? Many people are unfamiliar with the historical events that preceded the flood of Noah's Ark. Right? This has been hidden by religious leaders everywhere. Okay, the Bible tells us that fallen angels began to have intercourse with women, human women. This is in the Bible. Okay, let's take a look. Genesis 6, verse 1, and it reads, and it came to pass when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Verse 2 reads, the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and took them wives of all which they chose. Brothers and sisters, take a look at what it tells us here. It says the sons of God, which are angels, saw the daughters of men and made them their wives. Take a look. Right? Verse 3 reads, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Verse 4 reads, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God did what? Came in unto the daughters of men, and bare them children. The same became mighty men, which were of old and renowned. Brothers and sisters, take a look at that. Verse 4 says giants came from what? What we read, the sons of God, which are angels. How do we know? Go look at Job chapter 1, right? You can find all throughout Job, the angels are referred to as the sons of God. Right? So we have to put it out there. The sons of God in this text are fallen angels. Right? Fallen angels took on the form of men, took on the form of man, right? And slept, procreated, reproduced with women. Right? Why are religious leaders hiding this? Why is the Catholic Church trying to hide this? Because these fallen angels, right? The giant, this is where you get the giants from, brothers and sisters. We understand David and Goliath. There was a handful of giants. And a lot of people were unfamiliar with their history, but the Bible is very clear. The history is there. Okay. Wicked angels took on the form of men and began to not only socialize, but fraternize with the daughters of men. And guess what happened? Terrestrial plus extraterrestrial, you put those two together, what do you get? You get giants. And when those giants died, they became demons. Take a look at this, brothers and sisters. This is right here in Genesis 6. See, this is what was going on. This is what was going on during the time of Moses, during the time of Noah. Okay, during the time of Noah's Ark. See, this is why the Lord flooded the earth, because these same fallen angels began to splice animals, right? And this is where you get your T-Rex, right? And all these dinosaurs. God didn't create dinosaurs. That was fallen angels, right? Splicing, essentially GMO. Okay, this is right here in Genesis chapter 6, brothers and sisters. The Bible tells us, okay, this is what was going on. Fallen angels, a bunch of sexual depravity, a bunch of sexual immorality was being promoted during the time of Noah. And because of that, the Lord wiped the face of the earth with water. Okay. Notice the Bible recounts a period of great sexual depravity that led to the earth being purified by a flood during the time of Noah. Okay, fallen angels had offspring with women, with human women, in order to produce what? They produced a powerful race of giants, leading God to have but no choice. He had no choice but to annihilate humanity. Why? These fallen angels, when you look at the book of Enoch, who was Noah's grandfather, it tells you these fallen angels, right? It's not just Lucifer. There's a handful of fallen angels, and they taught a lot of wickedness on earth to mankind. Okay, in this passage, it's mentioned that the sons of God married and had offspring with the daughters of men. See that? See? Angels who had descended from heaven, engaged in reproduction, procreation with mortal women, resulting in what? The birth of a powerful lineage of giants. This is where you get it from. The Anunnaki, the Nephilim, right? This immoral deed resulted in the emergence of a powerful race known as the giants, or the Nephilim, who served as the inspiration for the deities in Greek mythology. See that? A lot of us had no clue that Greek mythology wasn't myth. Okay? It was fallen angels that were worshipped as deities or gods. Okay, the giants or the Nephilim were born as a result of this wicked deed, and they served as an inspiration for the gods in Greek mythology. Okay, here we observe the creation of hybrid beings through the mating of earthly and heavenly creatures. We have to put that out there, because this is who taught homosexuality. It was the fallen angels that promoted this dark magic. Okay, God's decision to flood the earth was prompted by angels mating with women. Okay, and here we observe the fusion of terrestrial life with celestial life, creating what? Hybrid beings, also known as giants. Remember, Goliath was not the only giant. When the Israelites were going into the promised land with the 12 spies, they saw giants in the land, the text says. Okay, and guess what? Archaeologists have discovered extensive evidence of giant human beings. Okay, archaeologists have discovered this, but they've been compelled by the government to remain silent about their findings.
For centuries, visitors to the Mediterranean island of Sardinia have been greeted with strange and mysterious stories that a race of giants once lived there thousands of years ago. But other than the presence of hundreds of bizarre monolithic stone structures, there had been little physical evidence after 1953 to convince mainstream archaeologists or even ancient astronaut theorists that the myths about giants ever had a basis in reality. That is, until 1979, when more giant bones were reportedly discovered during one of the island's many archaeological excavations.
I interviewed two individuals who worked on the excavation of the neuralgic ruins in the town of Sadara, underneath the church of Sant Anastasia. Both of these individuals dug up, at different periods of time, multiple skeletons of giants from 9 to 12 feet tall. And then the bones of the giants would go into the church and then disappear overnight. There have been hundreds of excavations in which the bones of giants have been allegedly unearthed and then secreted away.
Before we left the island of Sardinia, Marty and I were supposed to finally get access to an actual giant bone. That was all set. And then we received notifications that the guy pulled out and he was not going to show us the giant bone. Why did he pull out? One could argue that some type of censorship is going on in Sardinia.
See that? It's been well documented, okay? There have been giant skulls found all throughout the earth, okay? They've been found all throughout the earth. And most of the time, the governments are the ones who step in and say, hey, for national security, we're going to have to take over. See that? So why don't they ever bring this up? Why don't they bring up that the giant skulls they're finding is connected with Genesis chapter 6? It's connected with Goliath, right? Because they don't want you to believe in the Bible. That's why, right? They don't want to tell you that Lucifer had an army of angels and a lot of them slept with women, got them pregnant. And from that, a super race of giants, also called what? Deities or gods. See, this is where you get the Greek mythology. This is where you get the Roman gods and goddesses from. This is where you get the clash of the titans. This was a real story. Take a look at this. Genesis 6:4 reads, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God went in unto the daughters of men and got them pregnant. See that? He says the sons of God, which are angels, went into the daughters of men and got them pregnant. See that? We have to put it out there. Why? Here we observe the creation of hybrid beings through the mating of earthly and heavenly beings. Okay? We need to put it out there. Why? Homosexuality is a form of black magic that was passed down by the fallen angels. Okay? Homosexuality is a form of occult practice imparted by angels who have renounced their heavenly status. Okay, this was learned of the fallen angels. Anytime you take what's an entrance and turn it, what's an exit and turn it into an entrance, that is what? That is sorcery of the highest order. And guess what? The alphabet mafias, their campaign is a form of occult practice taught by fallen angels. People better wake up and get into the history of the Bible, okay? This is where homosexuality came from, right? The primary focus of the Alphabet Mafia campaign revolves around mocking the moral beliefs and values of the Bible. See that? This is why they use the symbol of the rainbow. They know it's tied to fallen angel worship. They know it. is tied to Greek mythology, Norse gods. They know it. Okay, remember, the Alphabet Mafia chose to label their month of festivities as Pride, as an act that we all know is considered hateful by God. Anyone who's familiar with the Bible knows that the trait God hates most is pride. And what? They chose to designate their month of festivities with a term that is in direct opposition to God's principles. Okay, we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about it today, brothers and sisters. Why? There's a lot of wickedness that's tied to the Rainbow Mafia, the Alphabet Mafia. Okay, there's a lot of occult practices that come with homosexual acts. And we're going to discuss it today. Why? If the name of the festivities, Pride Month, so now we're dedicating a whole month to an attribute that God hates. And this is what's so sad. Most people are unfamiliar with what the Bible has to say about pride. Why? It's not being taught in the churches. Churches are no longer teaching the gospel. Okay? I've seen countless people promoting pride as if it's something that God agrees with. Okay? Why hasn't anyone questioned? Why would they take pride? Why would they take that characteristic and give it the name of this particular festival, monthly festival? We're going to show you why, brothers and sisters. We're going to show you why. Let's go to Proverbs 16. Brothers and sisters, follow us to Proverbs 16 and 18. Why? Because a lot of us are unfamiliar. We're unfamiliar with all the pagan ties, the rituals, the dark magic that's involved in the LGBT campaign. Okay, now remember, they titled their month of celebration Pride Month. Right? Think about that. They named their month of celebration Pride Month. We're going to show you why that was direct opposition to God. Okay, they knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't just stumble upon that name. Okay, follow us to Proverbs 16 and 18, and it reads, pride goes before destruction. Pride goes before destruction, and an arrogant spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16 and 18 reads, pride comes before destruction, and an arrogant spirit before a fall. Let's take a look at this. The Bible says that pride is always followed by destruction. Okay, take a look at that. Do we think it was a coincidence that the Alphabet Mafia settled on that name? No, it's not a coincidence. Wake up, brothers and sisters. This is a satanic movement. Okay? It's a satanic movement, right? The Bible is very clear. Pride comes before destruction. So what comes after pride? Ruin, calamity, destruction. Right? Put it out there. We have to put it out there. According to the Bible, pride ultimately leads to downfall, indicating that anyone who embraces this quality is endorsing their own destruction, according to the Bible. Okay? According to the teachings of the Bible, it is warned that pride always leads to downfall and destruction. Right? This means that those who embrace pride are ultimately welcoming ruin and calamity into their own lives. See that? It's sorcery. They know the power of words. See that? They have studied the etymology. They have studied the origins of the words. They understand the power of words. There's a reason why they didn't they didn't call it Jesus Month. There's a reason why they called it Pride Month, right? And guess what? This passage indicates that pride causes conflict with God. demonstrating that the alphabet mafia purposely encouraged people to have conflict with God. See that? The fact that the alphabet mafia chose an attribute that signifies being at odds with God as a name for their celebration, brothers and sisters, if that doesn't open your eyes, I don't know what will. Okay, since when is pride a good thing? Think about it. This passage explains that pride creates conflict with God, demonstrating that the intention of the alphabet mafia was to create a discord, conflict between you and God. Right? And we have to put it out there. Why? The fact that the Rainbow Coalition decided to champion the most negative characteristic mentioned in the Bible is not a coincidence, brothers and sisters. It's not a coincidence. Okay, the fact that the alphabet mafia has chosen a trait that ensures God's disapproval. Because of that, we should be able to see, we should be able to have discernment, brothers and sisters. Not only do they take a symbol of God's wrath to ridicule God, they then select the attribute that God hates the most, and they say, you know what, we're going to celebrate this characteristic for a month straight. We're going to celebrate that. Brothers and sisters, the fact that the alphabet mafia has chosen a trait that ensures God's disapproval as the title for their festivities is not a coincidence.
The Biden administration officially recognizes June as Pride Month. President Biden says he will not rest until full equality for LGBTQ Americans is achieved. About 14% of his 1,500 agency appointees identify as LGBTQ. On his first day in office, the president signed an executive order that protects the LGBTQ community under all federal laws that prohibit discrimination based on sex.
The choice of name for the alphabet mafia's celebrations is not random, brothers and sisters. It's deliberate. Okay, it deliberately highlights their opposition of God. Okay, the fallen angels are in control of the alphabet mafia because their rituals directly contradict the teachings in the Bible. Okay, and we're going to discuss it today. Why? The underlying message here is that pride is a barrier to any person's spiritual growth, and it distances you from God. Right? The Bible says God distances himself from people who embrace pride. Okay? And guess what? The Rainbow Coalition deliberately chose the name Pride for their celebration because they're aware that God disapproves of that trait. They know it. Right? And how better to ridicule God than to name an entire month, a celebratory month, after the characteristic that God hates most. We have to open up our eyes, brothers and sisters. Satan desires for you to act out behaviors that provoke God's anger so that God will be angry with you just as he is with Lucifer. Remember, Lucifer lived in heaven alongside God, giving him insight into what provokes God's anger, with pride being the primary characteristic on that list.
What pride means to me is nobody can tell you what to do. I have dolls. I love my dolls. Boys can play with dolls too.
I have two moms and I call them mommy and mama. What pride means to me is just being myself and standing up for what I believe in.
Pride means you should be able to be free. All my life I never really felt like a boy and I don't really feel like a girl, so I'd rather be both.
Pride means a person could be whoever they want to be in their heart. The fact that I could say that I like to be called a boy makes me feel happy inside.
Pride to me is my two dads. If you have two moms, or if you have one dad or one mom. It's not like, oh, this or that. It's what makes people happy. Happy Pride Month.
Brothers and sisters, let's go into the Apocrypha. Okay, we're going into our 1611 King James Version Bible. At our church, we use the entire manuscript, the original canon. When you either go back to 1611, the original KJV, there were 80 books. 14 books were removed. right? This is one of those books that were removed. Anyone who studies on a scholarly level, who's familiar with theology, they know that the 14 books that were removed from the canon of the Bible were entitled the Apocrypha. All right, we're at Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 12, and it reads, "The beginning of pride is when one departs from God, and his maker is, and his heart is turned away from his maker." Ecclesiasticus 10 and 12 reads, "The beginning of pride is when one departs from God." The beginning of pride is when one departs from God. The beginning of pride, brothers and sisters, is when one departs from God. They distance themselves from God. See that? Take a look at that. The Bible teaches us that pride is the initial step towards distancing ourselves from the Most High. Okay, take a look at that. The Bible teaches us that pride is equivalent to being in opposition to God. If pride is synonymous with conflict with God, why would they name their celebration pride? Why would they be celebrating pride in schools? Making children believe pride is something to be respected. Right? See that? This is aimed at the children, brothers and sisters. The alphabet mafia is utilizing knowledge derived from fallen angels to promote their campaign. Okay, and people want to know why does it seem like they're going so hard for the LGBT, right? It's because of the origin. It's fallen angel occult practice. Okay, and guess what? The LGBT plus is what? The plus sign is for pedophilia. It's the P, the silent P. LGBT silent P. Guaranteed. Okay, the Bible teaches us that pride is the equivalent. It's the equivalent to being in conflict with God. We're at Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 13, and it reads, "For pride is the beginning of sin." For pride is the beginning of sin. According to the Bible, pride is the beginning of sin, and he that has it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. Brothers and sisters, the Bible says pride is the beginning of sin. Right? So this is how we know that the alphabet mafia, the Rainbow Coalition, is not just about loving who you love. It's a satanic movement aimed at ridiculing God. Okay? It's aimed at ridiculing God. The brothers and sisters, the alphabet mafia's embrace of this trait of pride reveals their attitude towards God. Okay, it's no accident that the alphabet mafia chose to promote the trait most associated with defiance towards God. Right? The alphabet mafia's adoption of the trait most associated with defiance towards God is not coincidental. Okay, the title of today's broadcast, Reclaim the Rainbow. Reclaim the rainbow. Why? Brothers and sisters, there's so much hidden information about this campaign that we're going to expose today. Why? Brothers and sisters, this is being promoted all throughout the earth. Anytime you have an entire month to celebrate a trait that God says he hates, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very careful, right? What do they call that? June, Pride Month, right? Homo Month, right? Think about that. Brothers and sisters, follow us to Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13. The title of today's broadcast, Reclaim the Rainbow. Okay, we decided to go into the LGBT movement with a fine-tooth comb. Okay, why? There's a lot of hidden intel. There's a lot of hidden information. There's a lot of hidden history for the movement, for this demonic campaign. And it's our job to reveal it. It's our job to expose the wickedness that Satan tries to hide. Okay, let's go to Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13. And it reads, if a man also lies with mankind as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Brothers and sisters, the Bible condemns homosexuality. It condemns men attracted to men and women attracted to women. Okay, Leviticus 23 and 13, Leviticus 20 and 13 reads, if a man also lies with mankind as he lies with a woman, he is an abomination. He is an abomination to God. She is an abomination to God. Take a look at that. The Bible explicitly states that homosexual acts are against God's law and are considered to be morally incorrect. Okay, the Bible teaches that homosexual behavior is contrary to God's design for human relationships. And because of that, it's deemed a violation in the Bible. It is a violation. Okay, here we learn that engaging in same-sex relationships is a violation of God's commandments and it will lead to facing God's wrath. It will lead to facing God's judgment. Okay, it doesn't get any clearer than this. According to the Bible, homosexuality is considered a sin. Why? It goes against nature. It's not a part of God's original plan. Okay, I don't care how a person feels about that. According to the Bible, engaging in homosexual relationships is considered a sin that will result in the wrath of God. Okay, and guess what? We all have sins that we're dealing with. A homosexual is no different. You need to put down that sin, brother. You need to deny yourself, brother. You need to deny yourself, sister, the same way every other heterosexual male or woman has to deny their desires. Okay, the church should be teaching you to resist the desire, not give into it. Okay, and we have to put it out there. All these influencers are endorsing the non-traditional way of living. Why? They're promoting the non-traditional way of living because they must do so in order to sustain their level of income. Okay, this is who's behind the dollar. If you get crossways with the alphabet mafia, you can kiss your career goodbye. You can kiss your career goodbye. Why? This passage demonstrates that the celebrities endorsing this way of life are antichrist. They're antichrist, right? Why? Encouraging alternative lifestyles is equivalent to endorsing the exploitation of children. I don't care if you agree with it or not. Promoting the alternative lifestyle means endorsing the abduction, rape, and killing of children. That's what you're signing up for. Okay, why? Brothers and sisters, we have to put it out there for all you racial idolaters. Predators come in different sizes, different shapes, different ethnicities, and they're often the last person you would expect. Okay, D. Wade, former basketball player, D. Wade recently created a company with the purpose of adding to the confusion of children. Okay, the children who are experiencing gender dysphoria. He has set up an organization to promote more confusion to these minors.
NBA Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade is stepping into a new role.
And it's all inspired by his daughter. Wade unveiled Translatable. It is an online community aimed at supporting transgender children and their families. The platform is a creation of the Wade Family Foundation.
We recognize the lack of digestible and relatable information available to youth and families, especially communities of color. And to this day, we are still learning. I'm so very proud of the daughter that I've had the opportunity to raise.
She has been my biggest educator and inspiration of what it means to be true to you.
Wade's daughter came out as transgender in 2020. He announced the project after receiving the Elevate Prize Catalyst Award in Miami Beach.
This pedophile has set up an organization to exploit children who are unsure about their identities. Okay? D. Wade is a groomer. How do you think he turned his son into a girl? Okay? What we just witnessed was child abuse. Okay? D. Wade has clearly abused his son. Okay? Encouraging an alternative lifestyle is, brothers and sisters, it is the equivalent to endorsing the exploitation of children, the sexual abuse of children. That's what you're promoting when you promote Pride, when you promote the Rainbow Mafia. You're promoting the molestation of children. Okay, and we're going to put it out there. Why? Because people want to act like there isn't a link to that, and there is. Right? And any person denying that link is being disingenuous. Why? When you promote the alternative lifestyle, you're promoting the sexual abuse of children. Okay? When you promote the alternative lifestyle, you're promoting the kidnap and murder of children. Okay? And we have to put it out there. Why? Why? Why does Satan use this LGBT campaign to ridicule God, to ridicule believers? We're going to show you why. Let's go to Genesis 1. Okay, let's go to the first book of the Bible, first chapter of the Bible. Okay, we're going to show. We're going to show, brothers and sisters. All right. We're going to read Genesis 1 and 27, 1 and 28. Now, brothers and sisters, before we read this, understand the context. This is Genesis chapter 1. This is the very first chapter of the greatest book ever published, the greatest book ever penned. The very first chapter means what we learn in the first chapter is what God thought it was important for us to know at the beginning of our relationship with him. Okay, we're going to show you why homosexuals hate God. We want to show you why those who are living alternative lifestyle hate the Bible. We're going to show why. Okay, let's go to Genesis 1 and 27. And it reads, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them." Verse 28 reads, "And God blessed them, and God saith unto them, Be fruitful and multiply. And God saith unto them, Be fruitful and multiply. And God saith unto man and woman, Be fruitful and multiply." Brothers and sisters, the inaugural commandment issued by God was for man and woman to reproduce. Notice that. That's what the passage says, right? That's what the passage says. Be fruitful and multiply. That's a command. So here we see the very first law God gave was about reproduction. Okay? Homosexuality is considered an abomination to God because it violates the number one commandment that God issued, the first decree that God provided. Right? And we have to put it out there. By advocating for the alternative lifestyle, the Rainbow Mafia is disregarding the first commandment given by God in the Bible. Have children. That's a command from God. Right? The initial directive given by God was for mankind to reproduce, to fill the earth with their offspring. See that? And this is why God hates the act. Why? A lot of these brothers that's living alternative lifestyle, it's hurting God. Why? God wants these brothers to have children. God wants these brothers to be living a clean life. God wants these sisters to live a clean life and have children, which you cannot do if you're living alternative lifestyle, right? God's mandate, right? God's mandate highlighted the significance of reproducing to ensure the future existence of mankind. Notice that this was the very first law God gave, which is why Satan has ramped it up when it comes to this LGBT. When you attack marriage, when you attack reproduction, you're attacking the origin, right? Instructing Adam and Eve to be fruitful and reproduce, God laid the foundation. He laid the foundation for the expansion of humanity. Okay? The passage explains the reason why the alphabet movement is detested by God. Okay? It's perceived as a direct challenge to the foundational principles outlined in the Bible. Okay? We have to put it out there. God desires for people to reproduce. Therefore, it grieves him when individuals opt for a homosexual way of life. Okay? If all people were to adopt a homosexual way of life, the continuation of the world's population would be non-existent. It would be non-existent. Okay, same-sex relationships have an inability to reproduce, and that's the evidence from nature that it's not God's will. Every animal reproduces. Okay? Even the fruit reproduce. The plants reproduce. Okay? If the entire population embraced the homosexual way of life, the world would eventually face extinction. And that's what Satan wants. He hates man and woman because man and woman, God loved more than him. Lucifer is jealous. He's envious of mankind. Why? He sees that you and I have sinned hundreds of times, but God continues to forgive us. He sinned one time and can't get the forgiveness of God. Why? Forgiveness is only for mankind. And that makes Lucifer hate us. He hates us. Okay? And we have to put it out there. Most individuals who embrace homosexual lifestyles also subscribe to the belief that one should have the ability to terminate the life of children at will. Okay, the people who participate in marches during Pride Month are also often the same people who participate in the rallies advocating for abortion rights.
Reproductive rights took center stage at today's Pride Festival in Orange County.
That's right. KCAL's Michelle Gili has more on how California is stepping in to help women facing bans elsewhere.
LGBTQ rights and reproductive rights took center stage at Orange County's Pride Festival in Santa Ana. On the year anniversary that Roe v. Wade was overturned, Planned Parenthood set up in front of the Frida Theater to fight for abortion access for all women.
I personally got my tubes taken out because I do not want to have children. So I feel like it is up to the woman's choice.
Before the Supreme Court gave states the power to make their own abortion laws, only Texas and Oklahoma banned abortions after 20 weeks. But since the ruling known as the Dobbs decision, abortion is now completely banned, unavailable, or sharply restricted in at least 15 states. Because abortion rights are protected in California, women are coming here for care.
I took an oath to defend the California Constitution, which does protect a woman's right to a medically safe abortion and to birth control. And so it's so important that we continue to protect our civil rights, our women's rights, human rights.
Before the Dobbs decision came out, the FAB Council was formed in California, which stands for Future of Abortion.
What can we do on a policy level here in California to make it as easy as possible for folks who already have to go through all of these hurdles and hoops to travel to California just to get basic health care?
Since the ban went into effect in states like Arizona, Planned Parenthood, Orange, and San Bernardino counties says it's been providing care for about 40 women per month who travel here to California from out of state. And this also includes money for those patients for things like lodging, transportation, and gas money.
The individuals who participate in Pride Month celebrations are often the same individuals who attend rallies advocating for abortion access. Okay, we have to put it out there. Why? These two movements are against life, which reveals that Satan is at the helm of both campaigns, right? The reason why the LGBT advocacy is often linked with pro-choice is what? It's because both campaigns are opposed to reproduction. See that? People who choose to embrace an alternative lifestyle often harbor a deep sense of dissatisfaction for life, as evidenced by their refusal to reproduce. See that? Why does it seem like everyone who's promoting the Rainbow Coalition also promotes the murder of children? Well, hold on. Listen, if you're living an alternative lifestyle, you shouldn't even concern yourself with how a woman is getting pregnant, right? And brothers and sisters, when you take a look at these rallies, the women that they have promoting the right to have an abortion are women that don't look like they're going to need one. I don't think that's going to be an issue for them at all, which is truly the reason why they want to do this. They want to promote this psychological trauma on women. They know that usually over 95% of women who've had an abortion say they regret it, right? And they deal with deep regret and turmoil inwardly. And that's what they want. They know the psychological response to something like that, yet they continue to promote it. Okay, the fact that they now have coupled the LGBT community with the cross-dressing community is something we cannot ignore, because that's what came next, right? That's what came next. It began with Barack Obama, who legalized same-sex unions. And now we have men dressing like women. Okay, it began with Barack Obama's approval of same-sex marriage. And now we have men donning women's apparel. Okay, all of this is connected. The transgenderism, the Rainbow Coalition, the pro-choice campaign. Notice all of this is strategic. It's strategic to what? To ridicule God, to mock believers. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy 22:5. Why? This has led to cross-dressing, this type of ideology being promoted. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy 22:5. The title of today's broadcast, Reclaim the Rainbow. Reclaim the rainbow, brothers and sisters. Follow us to Deuteronomy 22:5. Why? Brothers and sisters, the alphabet mafia, it started through the hand of Barack Obama. It started with the same-sex unions. And now what do we have? We have men dressed as women. We have women dressed as men. We have men competing in women's sports, right? Including physical combat, right? All of this is condemned in the Bible. Let's go to Deuteronomy 22:5. Deuteronomy 22:5 reads, "The woman shall not wear that which pertains to a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God." Brothers and sisters, take a look at that. Deuteronomy 22:5 reads, "The woman shall not wear what pertains unto a man, neither shall a man put on woman's apparel." You see that? You see that? According to the teachings of the Bible, engaging in cross-dressing is considered a sinful act that is against God's original plan. Okay? The prohibition against dressing in clothing traditionally associated with the opposite gender is based on the idea that all people should embrace their God-given identity. Okay? Cross-dressing is viewed as a form of disobedience to God, and it's consequently condemned. It's condemned as immoral behavior. Right? I don't care what they're teaching in schools. I don't care what you're seeing in Hollywood. The Bible's perspective on cross-dressing is rooted in the belief that God's design for gender is perfect and it should be embraced without deviation. Okay? Many people have forgotten the role that social media played as a primary tool to coerce the public into accepting the homosexual agenda. Let's go back 10 years ago. Let's go back here, brothers and sisters. Why? Let's think about this. Let's think about how homosexuality began to be accepted all throughout the United States. It was through social media. They used the social media. Okay. All of the top tier social media organizations are headquartered out of California, which reveals to us why social media has embraced same-sex unions. Okay. All of the top tier social media headquarters are in California. Okay. Thanks to the internet, it wasn't just the internet, but it was the boom in internet in the 1990s. San Francisco became the global center for tech-driven economic growth. Okay. Anyone who's familiar with big tech knows this. Okay. Down in the valley. Okay. Many people fail to remember the historical significance of California being the first state to embrace homosexuality. We have to talk about that. We're going back in history. Why? It's often overlooked that California played a pioneering role in championing homosexual rights and paving the way for other states to follow suit. Okay, this is how it was accepted, through social media. Why? Social media are headquartered in California, the first state to accept same-sex unions. Okay, so to comprehend why California has endorsed the gay lifestyle through the entertainment industry, we need to take a look back at the history of the California Gold Rush. The California Gold Rush. Take a trip back in time to the era of the California Gold Rush and recall the reason behind California's nickname as the Golden State. Remember, California earned the nickname the Golden State due to the numerous men who had abandoned their families to seek out gold in California. Right? A lot of us forgot about this. During the mid-1800s, homosexuality became more accepted in California due to the California Gold Rush. Remember, many men left their families to search for gold, resulting in a shortage of women in that region. Okay, and this led to an acceptance of same-sex relationships. Okay, this is why California is overrun with reprobates and alphabet mafia. Okay, California was inundated by 95% males, which led to an acceptance of the sinful lifestyle. Okay, in the mid-1800s, you had tens of thousands of men come over, leave their families, move over into California. California was pretty much inhabited at this time. Right? So all thousands of men move here. There's no women in sight. Okay, so you're wondering why San Francisco, you're wondering why Sacramento, San Jose, all of these cities, all of these counties in California are promoting the alternative lifestyle. It's because of the history. Do some research on the California Gold Rush and how men abandoned their families in search of money. Okay, California was nicknamed as the Golden State because so many men had abandoned their families to seek gold in California. Okay, we have to put it out there. Why? During the mid-1800s, the acceptance of homosexuality in California was influenced by the many men who left their families to seek gold during the California Gold Rush. Okay, the scarcity of women in that area led to the normalization of same-sex relationships in the mining communities.
When gold was discovered in California, the world rushed west. Men and some women dropped everything to get rich. Most didn't find gold, but many found comfort in same-sex relationships.
What we know is that they were probably quite common, but we don't have the documentation to say how common.
Historian and author Susan Lee Johnson literally wrote the book on life in the mining camps during the California gold rush. She says documenting the lives of LGBTQ plus 49ers isn't easy.
It's not the sort of thing that you would write home about, but fortunately we have things like diaries, we have court records.
Women and children were a rare sight in the gold rush. Prospectors from around the globe descended on the Golden State. Towns popped up overnight. Cabins and tents often housed multiple miners. Quarters were cramped. And without women, many of these men would find comfort in each other.
We have at least one divorce case where a woman divorced her husband because he kept bringing men home, and she was not happy about that. And then we have a lot of elusive records. So records of men dancing together or spending the night together. And, we have to kind of read through what we see there to try to figure out what's going on.
At a time when there were clear divisions between women's work and men's work, miners would have to jump into gender non-conforming roles just to survive and keep themselves entertained.
In the dingings, men would, put on parties where they would dance together. Hopefully they, had somebody who had a fiddle, and they would dance together. Some of the men would take on, the female role in the dance, depending on, and him, it might be indicated by something he was wearing, a patch on his pants or something like that. So that was quite common.
But there is evidence that some same-sex relationships were accepted. Hundreds of miles away from those mining camps, San Francisco was booming. The population exploded from just 500 people in 1847 to 50,000 in 1853.
Most of those new people were young men migrating to San Francisco, over half of them from outside of the United States, in search of excitement, in search of wealth.
Claire Sears is an author and sociologist who studied cross-gender dressing among 49ers.
They had to really figure out how to organize their social lives, their domestic lives, and their sexual lives in the virtual absence of women. So a lot of opportunities opened up in that kind of space for a wide range of cross-gender practices and same-sex intimacies.
She says we can't put modern labels on people at the time, calling them gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender, because such terms didn't exist at the time. But in the city's raucous Barbary Coast, there is clear evidence that same-sex relationships and gender non-conforming behavior was happening.
The majority of social media companies are based in California, which explains why same-sex marriages have gained acceptance on social media platforms. One of the main causes for the rise in acceptance of homosexuality is attributed to the influence of the algorithms in all of these social media sites. Okay, Facebook and Instagram, their algorithms are designed to highlight and support the alternative lifestyle while disapproving of anyone who does not embrace it. Okay, the history of California may be forgotten by many, but the LGBT community is well informed about it.
Here we are, everyone, the Griffin family farm.
Ah, look at us, Brian, frontier people. I feel like those miners who first struck gold in San Francisco.
Oh my God, we did it! We struck gold! This is amazing! We're gonna be rich! Rich and gay? Come here.
Many social media companies are headquartered in California, which sheds light on the widespread acceptance of same-sex unions on these social media platforms. Okay, the algorithms employed by Facebook and Instagram are designed to endorse the non-traditional alternative way of life while marginalizing any individual who does not embrace the Rainbow Mafia. Okay? And we have to put it out there. The history of California may have been overlooked by many, but members of the Alphabet Mafia are particularly knowledgeable concerning it. Okay? Let's go to Job, brothers and sisters. The book of Job. All right? I'm going to stay in the Old Testament. Job 9:24, brothers and sisters. All right. Brothers and sisters, let's go to Job 9:24. Why? The earth, brothers and sisters, has grown in immorality, and the Bible tells us why. We're at Job 9:24, and it reads, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges. He covers the faces of the judges. Brothers and sisters, if a judge's face is covered, how can he offer unbiased judgment? How can he offer justice? Right? The Bible tells you that, hey, these politicians, right, they are against justice. Right? The Lord condemns the politicians. He condemns the legislation makers. Think about that. Our politicians have passed laws that have led to the increase in wickedness that we've witnessed over the past decade. Right? The Bible alerts us to the fact that evil has grown as a result of Satanists holding positions in the federal government. Okay, the Bible advises us to exercise caution when considering accepting any assistance from the government. Why? According to what we're reading, there's always an ulterior motive. Right? God says, be warned. When the government is acting as if they want to help you out, be very cautious. Okay, the Bible teaches us that the level of corruption and immorality that has permeated society can be directly linked to the decisions of our politicians. Okay, a lot of us forget that before Pride Month was celebrated, it was Black History Month that paved the way. Remember that? Black History Month played a significant role in laying the groundwork for the observance of Pride Month. Think about that. The government deceived the Black community into thinking it was honoring us through this celebration of February, or what they call Black History Month, when in actuality, it was a strategic move to endorse a homosexual way of life in the near future. Okay, once again, the government is establishing new federal holidays, with the recent addition being designated as Juneteenth.
Tomorrow is June 19th, or Juneteenth, the commemoration of the freedom of enslaved people in America. And this year marks the first time it's a federal holiday.
Celebrations are already underway in our area, including a block party in Harlem. CBS 2's Nick Calloway has more on that.
It's the kind of celebration that brought Esme Robinson to her feet, 89 years old and unable to contain her joy.
This is a celebration, a Black celebration. All them years of suffering, and this is New York, baby.
The city-sponsored Juneteenth block party brought hundreds to Harlem's St. Nicholas Park to dance, sing, and to reflect.
I think this is wonderful. It's just a wonderful day. It's a great day, and it's about time.
This is history making and long time coming. So we are very excited about the passage of this holiday.
Now a federal holiday, June 19th is a day that commemorates the end of slavery in this country. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Mayor Bill de Blasio say it's a major step forward in recognizing the sins of the past, but the fight for racial equality must continue.
We all know that slavery officially ended in 1865, but we also all know that in many ways slavery is still with us, and we have to fight it every day.
Juneteenth is a moment to recommit ourselves to change,
to action, to not accepting a status quo that we all know is still broken.
Yvonne Davis says she hopes this is a catalyst for real change.
I hope this is the beginning of something. It just doesn't end here, that it will still move on and recognize our history and what we've been through as a Black people in America.
We are wary of white liberals designating holidays to honor our history of enslavement under their rule. Okay, the establishment of Juneteenth as a federal holiday underscores the government's commitment to promoting division. Okay, the Bible warns us that we should be wary when white liberals appear to be advocating for positive change within the Black community. Why? Their intentions are usually not genuine. Okay, and the Lord is warning us here. Okay, we do not rely on Juneteenth to honor our freedom. The Bible provides us with a weekly opportunity to celebrate our freedom. Okay, we don't need Juneteenth, some holiday that some liberals, some white liberals somewhere have given us. Hey, celebrate oppression. Right? Celebrate being a slave to us. See that? We don't want that garbage. We don't want that garbage. We don't want anything you're giving us. Why? It's always a backhanded compliment. Notice they always want us to view ourselves as victims. Okay, let us show you, because we made a statement that there is a weekly day. The Lord says, celebrate our freedom. We don't need to wait till Juneteenth. Okay, let's go to Exodus chapter 20. Brothers and sisters, follow us to Exodus chapter 20, the 10 Commandments. Why? We don't need Juneteenth. The Bible provides us with a weekly day that we didn't have to get from white liberals in order to observe or commemorate our freedom. Okay, Juneteenth is nothing more than a celebration of oppression. Okay, given to us by some white liberals. We don't want anything white liberals have for us. Okay, the Bible warns us, right, about any handout they try to give us. Right, let's take a look at Exodus 20:8, and it reads, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Verse 9 reads, 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. Brothers and sisters, look at this here. Okay, look at verse 10, because verse 10 tells us that there is a day, a weekly day, that we should not be working. That's Saturday. And that is a sign of our freedom. Why? When you're a slave, you can't take any day off. What you mean take a day off, slave? What you mean? You better pick some peas, pick some cotton before we swing you off one of these trees. Right? So the Lord tells us here, he said, observe the Sabbath weekly. Why? Because there was a time when you couldn't take any days off. Right? So they would rather us celebrate Juneteenth. Why? Because once again, it shows their power. It shows them victimizing us. It shows us as a victim. I don't want that garbage. Okay? We operate utilizing the Sabbath as a sign for our freedom. Okay, look at verse 9 and 10. Exodus 20:9 reads, 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. But the seventh day, Saturday, is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it, thou shalt not do any work. Thou shalt not do any work. Thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. Brothers and sisters, the Bible instructs us to rest from work on the day designated by God every week. Okay, according to the Bible, we are instructed to refrain from working on Saturdays to mark our freedom from slavery. We don't need Juneteenth. Okay, the Lord says, hey, take every Saturday off from working as a sign of your freedom. Right? So when you are a slave, you don't have the option to rest from work, which is why the Bible instructs us to do so now as a commemoration of our freedom. Think about that. The Bible instructs us to rest and refrain from work on Saturdays to celebrate our freedom or our liberation from enslavement. Okay, the command to abstain from work, right? Take a look at that. The command to abstain from work is a restriction against making money on the Sabbath. You're not allowed to make money on the Sabbath. The Bible tells you. Okay, now guess what? The enemy is making efforts to influence children in various ways. And guess what? Indoctrination. Indoctrination is being subtly introduced into children's cartoons. Okay, and we have to put it out there. Why? Allowing children to watch the Disney Channel without supervision is a mistake. It is a mistake, brothers and sisters. Anyone who recalls the show titled The Proud Family would be surprised to learn that they are currently supporting racial idolatry.
This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country. Tilled this land from sea to sea to sea. First there was rice, tobacco, sugar cane. Then Whitney did his thing and cotton became king. And we were its soldiers, 4 million strong. Fighting for America's freedoms, even though we remained America's slaves. Built this country. The descendants of slaves continue to build this. Slaves built this country. And we, the descendants of slaves in America, have earned reparations for their suffering. And continue to earn reparations every moment we spend submerged in the systemic prejudice, racism, and white supremacy that America was founded with and still has not atoned for. Slaves built this country. Not only field hands, but carpenters, masons, blacksmiths, musicians, inventors built cities from Jamestown to New Orleans to Banneker, Washington. 40 acres and a mule. We'll take the 40 acres, keep the mule. We made your families rich. From the southern plantation heirs to the northern bankers to the New England ship owners, the founding fathers, former presidents, current senators, the Illuminati, the New World Order. Slaves built this country. We had Tubman, Turner, Frederick D. Didn't they say Lincoln freed the slaves? But slaves were men. And women. And only we can free ourselves. Emancipation is not freedom. Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, public schools, feeding private prisons, where we become slaves again. As we celebrate Juneteenth for the umpteenth time.
Parents have to wake up. Okay, the indoctrination is coming in many different facets with many different faces. Okay, if you're allowing your children to watch TV unsupervised, to look into shows you have not yet looked into, you are making a grave mistake. And I'm talking to parents, okay? Why? I don't know about you, but I prefer that my children do not receive education on matters of social justice from fictional characters on television. Okay, I have to put it out there. Why? Parents should ensure they vigilantly monitor the content of television programming that their children are exposed to. Why? Many modern animated series espouse values that are deemed immoral by God. Okay? The Disney Channel is promoting racial idolatry, racial division. Okay? The promotion of LGBT. Okay? So we wanted to put it out there. Exodus 20 tells us you don't need Juneteenth to celebrate your liberty. You do that every Saturday by refusing to work, taking one day off of work. Okay, taking one day off of work where you just spend time with God. There was no possibility of that at one time. And the Lord reminds us of that every Saturday when he commands us, like the text says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Notice it's the only 10 commandment that says remember, because he knew we would forget it. Right? And we had to put it out there. We had to put it out there because they have giving us Juneteenth for a reason, right? We know it's during Pride Month, right? So our people have to be very careful thinking that these white liberals, these Democrats, these leftists want to help us out, okay? Let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah, brothers and sisters, right? Old Testament, understand the Old Testament, all right? We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 5. We're going to read verse 13. Okay, we're at Isaiah 5 and 13, and it reads, "Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. Therefore, my people go into captivity because they have no knowledge. And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst." Brothers and sisters, the Bible tells us that our people went into captivity because we lack biblical knowledge. See that? If the federal government is attempting to recognize Black history, there must be a hidden agenda behind it. Okay, the author emphasizes that our enslavement occurred as a result of our limited understanding of the Bible. See that? According to the teachings of the Bible, educating the Black community about their history is considered the most beneficial action one can take to support us. I have many white people that I love, who I care for, who care for me. Okay, and I tell them, in this particular text, the author suggests that it was our lack of biblical understanding that stimulated our oppression. Right? So if you want to help Black people out, you don't do it by giving us Juneteenth. Why? June is known as Pride Month. And it's not by chance that Juneteenth started to gain promotion after June was acknowledged as a celebration for the alphabet mafia. Okay, this was a deliberate effort to align the celebration of African American history with the Rainbow Coalition.
Morning. The city of Lockport will honor Juneteenth and Pride Month today. It plans to raise a flag for each purpose. Both flags will be raised on Canal Street this afternoon. The Juneteenth flag will be raised at noon, and they will raise the Pride flag at 1 o'clock.
This deliberate overlap of Juneteenth and Pride Month celebrations was a strategic move to align the celebration of Black history with the Rainbow Coalition. Okay, whenever they offer something and say it's beneficial to the Black community, we should decline it. Why? Remember, Pride Month celebrations would not exist without the initial recognition of Black History Month. Remember that? Remember when that began in schools? The existence of Pride Month and its celebrations was dependent on the recognition and celebration of Black History Month. Okay, when my children were going into school, brick and mortar school, that was one of the hot topics that I would ask teachers. Hey, are you guys supporting Black History Month? Right, and they think it's a good thing. Oh, of course we are. I'm like, okay, well, we out of here, never to come back again. Why? If they're promoting Black Lives Matter, if they're promoting Black History Month, they're also promoting Pride Month. They're also highlighting Rainbow History Month. Okay, parents have to wake up. The only reason they allowed Black History Month in school was because they wanted to really get to rainbow history. They wanted to get to that history, but they knew they couldn't. They needed to use the Black community as a Trojan horse to get them into a space that they could not otherwise enter into, which was the celebration of an entire month. We've never heard of something like that before Black History Month. And we see there was a sinister plan. That plan was not to embrace Black history. It was more so about embracing and indoctrinating the children with the Rainbow Mafia lifestyle. Okay. The title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, Reclaim the rainbow. Reclaim the rainbow. Today, we wanted to utilize the Bible to help brothers and sisters get a good understanding of this movement that I like to call the Rainbow Coalition, the Alphabet Mafia. There's a sinister plan underneath all of the bright colors, right? Underneath of all of the bright colors is a web of deceit and manipulation. And today we wanted to open up the Bible to reveal the history of a lot of their symbols, a lot of their rituals, okay? The title today, Reclaim the Rainbow. We want to say, Kwam Yasharala, sin no more.